The year Earth changed was the year no one remembered clearly. Not because it was forgotten, but because whatever happened in June of 2026 rewrote memory itself. People just knew something was different, like a scar with no wound. The skies were always one hue grayer. The shadows felt thicker. Technology began to behave unpredictably, as though it were resisting. On the southern tip of Greenland, once covered in permafrost, stood an observatory built into the cliffside. Arc 9. It had been dormant for years, mothballed after a funding cut, until a pulse was detected beneath the ice. A rhythm, a signal. It wasn't man-made. Dr. Kalen Reese was the first to pick up the pattern in a dormant spectrometer that had no power source. He didn't understand how it activated, only that it had. He was a xenobiologist, not a physicist, but he knew the signature wasn't natural. It repeated every 77 minutes. A spiral of tones too precise to be random. Each transmission ended with a pause, like something was waiting. Reese replayed the signal in a loop, his breath fogging against the freezing control room glass. No one else on the base heard it the same way. To them, it was static, clicks and fuzz. But to him, it was language. On the third day, the pulse spread. Satellites failed, birds in flight collapsed midair, their eyes black and pupilless. And in a remote farming commune in Norway, a child named Lyra began to speak in voices not her own. "They are not coming," she whispered to her terrified parents. "They are already inside." The news never caught up in time. Governments scrambled to suppress anomalies. Images disappeared from social networks. Search engines went blank for phrases like Greenland anomaly, Lyra transmissions, arcane pulse. And above the Pacific Ocean, a deep-sea rig reported a light beneath the floor of the world, then went silent. By the time the first breach was made, no one in power was ready. Reese stood on the ridge overlooking the ice field with a drone operator named Sana, her face pale behind mirrored visors. They watched as the snow began to crack outward from the epicenter, geometric fractures spreading like a crystal web. At the center was a single black spire, pushing upward with impossible silence. Not ice, not stone, something in between. It refracted light like liquid, but cast a shadow too dark to explain. "It wasn't here yesterday," Sana said, voice shaking. "No," Reese said, "but I think it was always meant to be." He stepped forward despite the protest from the others in the outpost. Snow hissed around his boots. The closer he moved to the spire, the warmer the air became. He reached out, foolishly, and touched it. It rippled. Not like metal or water, but like an idea. His body froze, but his mind was pulled forward, stretched into something else. He saw flashes, stars folding in on themselves, creatures without faces crawling across the hull of a vessel shaped like a thought. A city in the clouds where everyone had the same voice, a whisper. "Remember, we were first." He awoke hours later in a sterile room back at Arc 9. Monitors surrounded him. Sana sat nearby, a rifle in her lap. "You spoke for 12 minutes, she said. "Languages I don't recognize. You called me someone named Tessel 3 times, then you screamed." Reese sat up. "The spire is not a structure, it's a message, or a gate, or both." "No one else is going near it," she said. "After what it did to you, after what it did to Olek." "What happened to Olek?" Sana looked away. "He went in after you?" "Didn't come back. We sent a drone. It showed pieces of him suspended in midair. Still breathing, but wrong." Reese stood and staggered toward the glass. The spire was larger now. It had grown overnight by at least a meter. And around it, the ice was evaporating, replaced by strange black vegetation that hadn't existed anywhere on Earth. He pressed his palm to the window and felt heat. In a conference call 3 hours later, a pale man with no name and no ID number stared at Reese through a flickering monitor. He claimed to be from a special agency Reese had never heard of. "We have 6 spires now," the man said. "Each appeared within the last 48 hours. One in Siberia, one off the coast of Madagascar, another on the moon. We don't know what they want or if they want anything." "I think they're waiting," Reese replied. "For what?" "For one of us to answer back." That night, Reese broke protocol. He returned to the spire, alone. The others didn't stop him. He stepped up to the monolith, his breath shallow, his eyes glowing faintly under the auroras. He spoke into the air, the way you speak to a storm or a god. "I heard you. There was no response, only silence. Then light. A fracture opened in the base of the spire, and from it, a shape emerged. Not walking, not flying, but unfolding. A being of angles. Limbs that ended in nothing. A surface that absorbed all reflection. It looked at Reese without eyes. We were here before your atoms coalesced, before your stars were born. You are the newest dream in a long line of sleepers. Why now? Reese asked. Why return?